Up, guys? I don't normally do NFL reaction videos, but this week has been way too good not to do one. So here's my NFL Week 11 reaction. So starting off with Thursday Night Football, we had a divisional matchup for first place in the NFC East between the Eagles and the Commanders. And this is a game where I did pick the Eagles to win just because of how well their defense has been playing the last 5 or 6 weeks, and Saquon Barkley has been pretty much unstoppable. So I thought that combo could be enough to beat Washington, and it pretty much was. After the first quarter, the Eagles pretty much controlled the pace of the game, and they were able to pretty much prove that they are the best team in the NFC East. And it's interesting, the rough start they got out to on the season, they seem to have overcome that. The team is playing very well together. Jalen Hurts has cleaned up a lot of his turnovers for the most part, but really Saquon is the difference maker here. But let's not forget that defense. We have to give the credit to the defense. They have been playing very, very extremely well. And the Eagles will be tested the farther they get along, but they are looking very solid right now. And let's give some credit to that Eagles O line as well. They were playing a little iffy to start the year off, especially after losing Jason Kelsey, but they seem to be gelling now, so that seems to be helping the Eagles. So it'll be interesting to see how they progress because there aren't really a lot of super strong teams in the NFC right now. So it'll be interesting to see how they finish out the year. So that was our Thursday night matchup. That was a great game. Moving on to our Sunday games now. I'm going to go through some of them very briefly and then just really highlight the amazing, great matchups that we had. Packers and Bears surprised me. I thought the Packers would beat up on the Bears like they typically do, and they pulled this game off, but only because of a blocked field goal. That was a close game. Historically, the Packers have owned the Bears, and even this year, the Packers have looked like the much better team. The Bears were kind of at an all-time low last week, losing to the Patriots. So this would be the perfect game for the Packers to just keep beating them up with. But the Packers kind of played a very ugly game. I don't think it's too much to worry about. I think coming off of a bye week, they were a little rusty. They still have a few more weeks to kind of get right, but they came away with a win, so that was big for them here. And the Bears back in the loss column once again. Jaguars and Lions. Okay, we can't really say we didn't expect the Lions to beat up the Jaguars pretty badly, but there is a big difference between great teams and good teams. The Vikings played the Jaguars last week and beat them 12-7. The Lions did what great teams do to really bad teams, and that is just absolutely beat them in a landslide. 52-6. That's what you do when you're a great team. And we also saw the Vikings beat the Titans 23-13. And good for the Vikings. They are staying in the win column, which is very important. Oh, a 23-13 win is worth just as much as a 52-6 win. But I think the Lions are definitely, no doubt, the better team here. It's not really a secret. Moving on to the Raiders and Dolphins, I'm not going to talk about this too much. The Raiders haven't really shown any surprises here. Brock Bowers looks amazing, but besides him, nothing really is special about that team. But the Dolphins, they've kind of hit their stride. Is it too little too late, though? It'll be interesting to see if they can piece together a few more wins as the season progresses. But that Dolphins offense is looking better. I still want to see more out of Waddle. Waddle has really not had any good games this year. So let's see if he can get warmed up in the weeks to follow. Moving on to the Colts and the Jets. That was a pretty good game. We had an inconsistent Anthony Richardson, but it looks like sitting helped a little bit at least because he kept fighting and he was able to pull the game out at the end. And the Jets losing another heartbreaker. Aaron Rodgers just cannot move like he used to. He had some great plays in this game, but that Jets team is just not winning material. And that window has more than closed now. It's well, I don't know what more than closing is, but it's more than closed. Falcons and Broncos. I do want to talk about this game a little bit for two reasons. One, the Falcons are in serious trouble. They had all that momentum, and then losing to the Saints last week is it's one thing to lose to the Saints, but it is a divisional game. Those things kind of happen sometimes. But to be absolutely manhandled by the Broncos, that's kind of an embarrassment. They do not look good right now. They're kind of trending in the wrong direction. The Broncos, on the other hand, they did take last week's loss and use it as a bounce back. I know they felt like they should have won that game against the Chiefs with their blocked field goal, and they just took it out on the Falcons. Bo Nix looks really, really good, and that Broncos defense is hot. Interesting to see how they continue the season as well. Now we have Browns and Saints. I won't really talk about this too much. The Saints were the better of the two bad teams. They are playing better since their coordinator got fired, but it's probably too little too late at that point. Rams and Patriots. The Rams and the entire NFC West is quite the storyline. You have the Rams, Seahawks, and Niners all sitting at the same record, and then the Cardinals one game ahead, who are on a bye week right now. The Rams win was ugly, though. I watched that game, and it was ugly. Okay, the Patriots had some turnovers like they typically do. The O-line didn't hold up very well. Drake May was strip sacked, giving them pretty good field position. The Rams took advantage of it. And I'm not saying the Rams played bad. Stafford made some amazing touchdown throws, 4 of them in total, I believe. It's not that. It's just they didn't consistently move the ball up and down the field on the Patriots. They were given some very nice field positions. May threw a few rookie type interceptions like he has been doing each game, but he's still making some really nice throws as well, so I'm not going to hate on him too much. He doesn't have a lot to work with. Moving on to one more game in the NFC West, we have the Seahawks and the 49ers. Didn't really see this coming. The Seahawks got revenge. They beat the Niners right at the end. Geno Smith with his touchdown run, and the 49ers, they got McCaffrey back. They lost Kittle for a little bit. Debo did not have a great game. And honestly, the 49ers offense did not have a great game. Their defense held as much as possible, but the Seahawks just wanted it more in the end. And this whole entire NFC West is very, very tight. So let me know in the comments, who do you think is going to win this NFC West? It is anybody's game right now. And honestly, most likely, whoever wins the NFC West will potentially be the only team from the division that makes the playoffs, depending on how the wild card falls. But it's possible you could have a second one in there, but not highly likely. So let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments. All right, moving on to a highly anticipated game this week. We have, of course, the Ravens and the Steelers. This game I actually predicted right on the money. I said that I thought the Steelers defense would be able to kind of stifle the Ravens offense from the get-go and kind of fluster Lamar. And I'll give Lamar credit. He was running around like crazy, trying to create plays, but it just was not there. That Ravens defense was able to control the game, and Russell Wilson plays very well when he has a lead, even if it's a small lead. And he's been playing well all season, and they were able to do just enough to beat this Ravens team and hold off the comeback. The Steelers, with their defense and the way the offense complements their defense, they are a legit Super Bowl contender. And I've never really said that about the Steelers, even back when they had Ben Roethlisberger and all those guys. As talented as that offense was, we had Brady and the Patriots back then, and even Peyton was around back then, so I never really truly believed that the Steelers were a Super Bowl team, and that turned out to be true for the most part, but I actually do believe in the Steelers team. This is a championship type defense, and sure, they would have some stiff competition when the time comes against the Bills, Chiefs, whoever, but they are legit. So they are someone to take seriously, and they are on top of the AFC North, which is huge for seedings and home field advantage. This is a really big deal, and that was a huge win for them. And then we have probably the most anticipated game of the week, the Chiefs at the Bills. I got this one wrong. I picked the Chiefs to win just because of how they play as the underdog. And even though they haven't been playing outstanding this year, historically they have beaten the Bills more times than not the past few years. But let me tell you, Josh Allen, I already said I thought he was the MVP of the year. And that final touchdown run, man, I'm telling you, he really should be MVP, I think. Of course, the season's not over with yet, but this guy is something else. And I'm a huge Josh Allen fan, I have to admit. It's tough to say it, but I am a big Josh Allen fan. That Chiefs defense is really, really good. Chiefs offense, I thought they might be able to put a little bit together more than they did. They did not. Kelsey went from having some great games to disappearing once again. And give credit to that Bills defense. They played with some heart. The run game didn't do too much for the Bills, but they just kind of put the ball in Josh Allen's hands, and he put that Superman cape on, and he came out on top. He willed that team to victory. Huge win for those home field crazy Bill Mafia fans. You could hear them right through the TV screen. So that was a huge game. Obviously, I'm doing this before Monday Night Football because I really don't expect much out of the Texans and Cowboys game. I expect the Texans to win, so there really shouldn't be too much to talk about unless the Cowboys come up with a huge upset, which really isn't going to affect the Cowboys' season per se. It's more so going to damage the Texans' season, but we'll see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I kind of expect the Texans to end up winning that game. Could be low scoring, maybe not. Joe Mixon might have a great game against that Cowboys defense, but either way, I think the Texans win, and we'll continue to really see how they do against some stiffer competition. They've lost some heartbreakers the last few weeks, so they do need a W here. And that brings us to Sunday Night Football with the Chargers against the Bengals. I picked the Chargers to win this game because I thought their defense is so good that they could kind of slow down the Bengals ahead of time, and the Bengals defense is so bad that the Chargers could kind of build a lead to the point where the Bengals wouldn't really, by the time they get rolling, it wouldn't be enough to overcome any sort of deficit. And let's not forget that Bengals O-line is really not all that great, but I will give Joe Burrow credit. He has been playing potentially MVP football this year so far too. Unfortunately, the rest of his team, aside from Jamar Chase, is not doing a whole lot to help him. So he's kind of carrying the team on his shoulders. Really, it's just him and Chase. There are, Chase Brown also running back has been having a pretty solid year, but let's just be honest. It's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase show right now. T. Higgins has been in and out with injuries, so consistently it's been those two, and yeah, what a game that was. Chargers started off exactly how I thought it would go, controlling the game. Herbert's been having a pretty quiet but good year as well. Really no turnovers until that one fumble. And the Bengals, they clawed their way back into this. Well, I say clawed, but they threw some bombs, some fireworks in typical Bengals fashion. And what a finish. There were some questionable calls earlier on in the game, but I don't really think it affected the game too much. And that was a classic, definitely. Just when you thought the Bengals were going to complete the comeback, the Chargers defense was actually able to step up, and the Chargers offense was able to win right at the last minute and not fall victim to a typical Chargers type of loss from previous years. Man, let me tell you, what a game that was. That was an instant classic, like I said. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase played very well. Although I will say Burrow missed a few open throws he probably wish he had back to Chase. T. Higgins stepped up big time this game, but unfortunately for them, they now fall to 4-7 on the year. And those wild card spots keep getting farther and farther away from them. Chargers, on the other hand, their defense was able to bend but not break just enough those last few drives. Credit to the Bengals defense. They really stepped up that second half big time, unlike we've really seen them do this entire season. There wasn't much of a running game for most of the game for the Chargers, but they were able to kind of bypass that and keep up with Justin Herbert's very accurate and beautiful throws throughout the game. And of course, Lad McConkey with his amazing game. He's just playing better and better all season long. So, very interesting game, very telling game. And Chargers add to their winning record. Bengals in a very tough spot right now. So much talent on that team, but unfortunately the record does not really reflect that. So let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. And also, I just finished watching, not NFL related, but I just finished watching Cobra Kai a couple of nights ago. What an ending to that season. Well, not really end to the season, but ending to part 2 of the final season, season 6. So if you've seen that, let me know in the comments as well. All right, we'll see you next time.